For today's class, we're going to do some breath work, or known in yoga as pranayama, which could arguably be defined as opening up the channels to the flow of prana, or removing the blocks in the body to the flow of prana. Yeah, I think that's how it goes. So prana is life force energy. You might have heard of it as called chi, or if you live in Southern California, just your energy. And what we're trying to do in the yoga practice is, instead of do something very forceful and aggressive, instead we're just trying to open up the energy channels so that prana can move through them better. Now, after long practice of this technique, you can get better at it and move prana through with more expansiveness, do longer holds, breath technique holds, and just more advanced techniques in general. But just kind of like a word of caution is that the most common thing that I see with people who are attracted to a breathwork practice is, instead of going through the steps, they just go right to the most advanced stuff. It would be like, I think I said, I might say this in the future, but it would be like if you went to a karate class and you're like, can I just do the black belt stuff today? And they're like, no, like you have to prepare your body so that, you know, when you get kicked by the black belt, you know how to handle it. And they're like, no, I'm just going to go straight for that. So that's kind of what I've noticed in breathwork world, is that there are these really advanced techniques, but they're just being given to raw beginners who haven't prepared their energy channels. One example we have in this is in the book Autobiography of a Yogi. He talks about when Paramahansa Yogananda goes through an enlightenment experience where energy is blasted through the chakras, that because he was only a meditation yogi, that the energy channels hadn't been properly opened up like they could have been for a hatha yogi, someone who does the movement and breath practices like we do. His body experienced this wipeout mode for weeks and weeks after it. It was just way too much energy. It fried the energy channels, and it was a very painful experience. So we're going to open up so that we don't have that same painful experience when we draw on this prana. And the last thing I'll say is, these advanced techniques, we could look at somebody like who's teaching advanced techniques like this, the Wim Hof. He's got all these advanced techniques, which they're not bad. However, there's a study done on him just by doing those techniques all the time, that being his main practice of this technique that shouldn't be practiced all the time, that his cortisol levels are through the roof. That's your stress hormone. So if the stress hormones are through the roof, it might be a sign that the pranayama practice isn't happening well. So the last thing that I'll say about it is that it's going to be more allowing than in the physical practice. It's a balance between effort and surrender. Today's practice is going to be all about allowing and inviting the breath in. Okay, so we're going to start off lying down on the back, and because of all the time spent with neck tension, etc., forward head position, I recommend a little pillow underneath your head. So we're just going to lie down and open up the palms at the side. So each pranayama practice, in my opinion, should have a dedicated grounding at the beginning and then a cooling off and regrounding at the end. We're about to allow ourselves to receive in greater quantities this universal energy, this life force energy. We're going to allow it to move through us. So we're just preparing for that. Approaching with humility and reverence, and fully surrendering. Now, because of the asana work that you're doing, you're starting to gain more elasticity in your intercostals, the muscles in between your rib cage, from all the bending and twisting that we do and stretching, so that you can get better movement of your diaphragm, which is your breath pump, your prana pump. So one thing I want you to feel as you're relaxing here, can you feel the side ribs expanding on your in-breath? And as if I tied a strap across your bottom ribs, which is a great practice to practice, and you could expand into the whole 360 degrees of that imaginary strap. And then as you exhale, you'll feel naturally the rib cage draw back in and down. So I want you to allow and relax so that more and more breath can come in. You're not trying to pull it. You're allowing the ribs to open up and expand so that the breath comes in. And if you can pause for a second or two before you let the breath out. And pause maybe for a second before the breath is invited back in. And just like that, we're practicing breath observation and elongation. And for the beginner, this would be the first month of breath practice. Dedicating about 10 minutes to slowly train the awareness to the breath, to make it a meditation. Be as present as you can, observing the sensations, watching the full length of the in-breath and the full length of the out-breath. And you're keeping your nervous system as calm as possible and seeing if maybe a little more breath can come in. The importance of this foundation is so that as you approach those more advanced techniques, you can feel when you're overdoing. Then let go of the breath control. The control that you're doing was attempting to lengthen it. Just notice how calm you feel as you roll to your side and come up to seated. Now the next technique is to layer in something called an Ujjayi pranayama, an Ujjayi breath. Now it's important when you sit upright for this that you can be fully relaxed. So if you're not used to sitting cross-legged, or if you have difficulty sitting cross-legged, like your body does this more, then you would just sit in a chair with your feet flat on the ground and your palms up like this. But if it feels totally comfortable to sit with your legs crossed, then you could do that too. So first, adjust your pelvis so it's upright, and your shoulders are balanced, and your head is balanced on top. So part of the meditation practice, pranayama practice, is that you can just sit upright without your body tensing up. That's very important before you try to learn any advanced technique. Now, for this next technique, the Ujjayi sound is like a constriction in the back of your throat so that the breath makes sound. Bring your hand in front of your mouth, and with your mouth open, pretend like you're fogging a mirror. Make a sound. Then breathe in again. See if you can do it with your mouth closed. See if you can make the same noise with your mouth open, with your on your in-breath with your mouth closed. And out. Now this practice of the Ujjayi pranayama, along with the breath observation, elongation, is the foundation of all of your breath techniques. So each breath practice should start by layering in, just like we did, from the relaxation to the breath awareness, to the breath elongation, to the Ujjayi, and then to whatever techniques you'll add. Now the Ujjayi and breath observation could be a lifetime practice in and of themselves. The more practice you become at the Ujjayi pranayama, it's very powerful and very healing for the nervous system. And when you're practicing this breath, you want to feel that it's a smooth strand of breath going in through the back of your throat. And in addition to that, you can tune your inner ear to the sound to make sure that the sound is very smooth without sputtering. When you sputter, that's a sign you're trying to take too much or force it too much. And so just like someone would learn to play a reeded instrument, a wind instrument, like a clarinet or something, at first it's like, it sounds like awful. And then over time, they learn to move the air just perfectly over that reed. When it doesn't take any force to do it, it's the most beautiful sound. So that's like the Ujjayi pranayama. It's also stimulating for the vagus nerve. So it helps with vagal tone, that vagus nerve which runs down through the body and helps with your gut response, your feeling, your gut instinct that comes from your vagus nerve, and your body to your ability to drop into a rest and digest or the parasympathetic, all from activating the vagus nerve. So it's a great technique to help with the health of your vagus nerve and vagal tone. So with your palms up or down, whatever feels comfortable, close your eyes, relax. First, go back to breath observation. Observing the expansion of the rib cage so there can be more breath moving in and out. And it's different seated upright. It's a lot more work to stay calm, which doesn't make sense. But it's harder to stay calm when you're upright. Now see if you can start to integrate that slight constriction. Now notice if you're tensing in your neck or your shoulders or your jaw at all. Keep those areas passive. Focus on doing a little bit less than you think. Don't just breathe into the front. Feel the whole 360 degrees of your waist and bottom ribs expanding. Then let go of the breath control, the Ujjayi sound. Just sit for a moment and imagine as you bring your awareness to the space between your eyebrows, just slightly above, to the energetic third eye, that you could open up this energy center and allow light to come through. Even practice visualizing white light. Then lie down onto your back for the grounding practice. So now that you know that technique, you can make that practice as long as you like. Work your way up to 20, 30 minutes. Start off with just 10. Practice that for a couple weeks. As you lie down here on your back, notice any residual strain, as this is a great way to train the pranayama practice. And the strain that you feel in your body now, you can become more aware of those chronic areas of tension or the workaholics in your body. And as you breathe, you can remind yourself to calm those areas that feel tight now. Then roll to your side and press up. Thank you. Namaste. So if you enjoyed that little practice and if you feel good now, let me know below. I like this to be a daily practice if you can have the time to work it in. And if you have any questions about the pranayama practice, the breath work, let me know below. All right. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.